Back, everybody. I'm psychic medium Chris George, and I'm here with River Wildfire Moon and Victor the Voice Furman. We're interviewing Debbie Chestnut for the first hour, and she's awesome enough to come back with us for the second hour. First hour was fantastic. It flew by. You know what? We talked for an hour, and we got through 5 questions. I mean, no, actually, we got through 4 questions. That's because we all have so much to say, you know. Debbie, you know what? Usually Victor telling me to shut the hell up.
No, I would never say that, but I will say that I remember, because Debbie was our guest on Second Sight about 8 months ago, and before she came on, you were panicking because you dated a girl named Debbie Chestnut when you were a teenager.
That's right.
And it wasn't her, so you're off the hook.
Yeah.
But I just remember that.
I remember that. Yeah, Debbie was a cutie. She was a little blonde, and I remember. Actually, I won't get into that. I just better not.
Better.
So Debbie, as we start off the second hour, you have some brand new books in the works. Why don't you tell them about us? Tell us about them. Sorry.
I just finished a book on exorcisms.
Love it.
That will be out in the fall of 2016. I'm starting another book on unsolved mysteries, some of my favorite unsolved mysteries through history and paranormal and UFOs and the Michigan Triangle and the Lake Erie Black Dog, and I'm anxious to get to work on that. But the exorcism book was really hard to write, you know, and I was shocked by some of the stories I found.
Really?
Why don't you share one?
Yeah, please.
I was shocked that in some religions, one in particular, they hold gay exorcisms because they think that if you're gay, it's a demon.
Are you kidding me?
No, and there was this one poor kid. He must have been through 30 of these things.
Well, no. See, that bothers me. When I hear that, that really bothers me.
It really bothers me a lot.
Because nobody knows what the hell they're doing. That's why. It's absolutely asinine to go through 30 exorcisms. That's crazy to me. Vic, is that crazy?
It bothered me tremendously. I felt so bad for this poor kid. You know, because they started to think there was something wrong with him.
You know, there are psychologists and psychiatrists who work to, quote-unquote, cure gay and lesbian people, and that's strictly the product of ultra right-wing conservative religions, and we don't have to mention which religions because we all know which religions we're talking about. But what they're doing is they're taking a person's basic makeup and telling them that they're sick for having that basic makeup. And anytime you do that, you've committed a crime against that person and a crime against humanity, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I think so. I don't think it's very ethical either. You know, I mean, one thing I did find interesting when I was researching the exorcism book was the possession syndrome. I found that fascinating, and more psychiatrists are actually starting to recognize the possession syndrome as a legitimate mental illness and not multiple personality disorder or any number of other disorders that it was attributed to. And it all leads back to what I thought is that everyone's perception of reality is different. So if you have patients and they believe that they are possessed, you have to operate in their reality, not your reality. And many of these patients who were suffering from the possession syndrome only found relief when an exorcism was performed. Because it fit in with their perception of what was wrong with them.
Would that be considered placebo?
That's what I'm thinking.
Right. It's actually starting to become recognized as an actual mental illness. More and more. I read a lot of articles from Psychology Today and other psychiatric journals where psychiatrists and psychologists are really struggling with the possession syndrome because, you know, in their world, logic dictates no, but you can't operate in your world. You have to operate in your patient's world.
You know, a lot of men think that River is a demon because she turns their heads around wherever she goes. So.
So cute.
It's really interesting you say that, Debbie, because years ago, I have a friend who had a friend who thought that she had a demon in her home, and I went there, and there was nothing there, okay? It was some negative energy, whatever. She insisted I do an exorcism. And I'm telling her, listen, you want me to do something that's not needed. So she says, I'm telling you there's a demon here. I'm like, I'm the professional. I'm telling you there's just some negative energy. She says, please do whatever you have to do to get rid of this demon in my home. I said, all right, you stay upstairs. I'm going to go downstairs and do the exorcism. I went down with my team. I was down there for about 2 hours. We hung out. And you know what I did? We went upstairs, and I said, okay, guys, we're going to do a space clearing in the whole home. So she thought I was downstairs doing an exorcism for 2 hours when I wasn't doing a damn thing. We went upstairs. We did a complete, thorough space clearing. That's all we did. And she swore up and down that that exorcism got rid of the spirit. When all I did was a space clearing.
Placebo effect.
That's right.
Yeah, see, that's how my team operates. Like, we all have the mindset when we go into an investigation and we're dealing with clients, we can't operate in our reality. We have to operate in their reality.
That's right.
And you have to be a little bit psychologist. You have to be, a little bit spiritual guide and counselor. But you have to figure out a way, and that's the challenge sometimes, is to figure out a way to do what you have to do that fits with that client's reality. Because if they don't believe 100% in what you're doing, it won't work.
That's right.
I've shared these stories, and I'm not going to share them again tonight, but the basic concept is, in today's world, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for what's wrong in their life. And they either are influenced by paranormal entertainment, or they're talked to by some unscrupulous paranormal team and convinced that they have something wrong, or a possession, or some type of an entity or an attachment. And quite frankly, what it comes down to is these people just don't want to take responsibility for what's going wrong in their life. And
right.
the classic example I gave was this couple who bought what was supposed to be their dream home after a marriage of 25 years. And all of a sudden, the contractor started quitting, and things started going wrong, and someone told them they had a spirit in their house. And they brought in a paranormal team who brought in a psychic who charged $900 to say that they had built the home, on the property that had belonged to a Native American chief, and he was upset that they built the home, and he was going to kill them, and then she walked out the door.
Why do people like to attribute everything to the
man, but it doesn't matter what they attribute it to. It's just this constant lying and people buying into it rather than take responsibility. So what it turned out was this woman professionally was a construction supervisor. And rather than hire an owner's representative to build their home, she decided to do it herself. Being a perfectionist and picky, the contractors would get upset and they'd quit on her. And then the money got bigger and bigger, and they started fighting with each other because the money was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And rather than say, you know what, we screwed up, let's start again, let's get a construction supervisor, let's get you out of the process, let's go away, let somebody build this house for us and then come back when it's done. They decided to blame it on the paranormal. And I see this every day.
See, I find a lot of cases, before we walk in the door, the client's convinced they have a demon.
Right.
And most of the time they're relieved when I go in there and say, no, it's not a demon, it's something else. I mean, there's something there, it's just not demonic. Most of the time they're relieved. Oh, okay, well, I can deal with that. Other times they're angry with me for not saying they have a demon. And I'm like, why do you want a demon?
That's right.
Don't you understand? So why do you want one of these things? They're horrible, vile creatures.
So you bring up demons. Now, this is something that we've talked about, Victor and myself, many times, and River with the one time that we did a show on exorcism. I've done, I think it's 96 exorcisms now in all my years, okay, which is a lot. Of the 96, I would say 3 were demonic, okay? That's a very small percentage. Right. Now, in your research, okay, what did you find? I know it's hard to give a percentage, but maybe you could give a guesstimate of how many exorcisms that you've researched were actually demonic, or was it something else?
Oh, I would say 1%.
1%.
1 to 3%, maybe.
I agree with you. I'm glad you said
but
that.
But I found what's interesting is that a lot of the times you could attribute some of the people's behavior to their cultural and religious upbringing.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the same correlation in terms of the percentage of true paranormal investigations that 97% of them are not paranormal, only about 3%, and the other 97% are either environmental or emotional. Same ratio.
You know, I think, can I just say something quickly?
Please.
Yeah.
I think this has a lot to do with part of the reason why I never had an interest in the investigative side of my life, of what I do. I find it more comfortable when the people come to me, and I'm not going to their environment, for one, or trying to investigate something. Now, there's a lot of great teams out there, and I've worked with several, and it's always a fascinating thing and a good thing, but I wouldn't want to play with those percentages. One, I don't ever want to run into a demon, and two, I don't want to deal with the people who just want the attention or the games that people like to wrap around spirit, and I find it offensive. I mean, literally offensive.
Right, but if you're a good team, you can weed that out. You know, like someone doesn't call and we just don't run over there.
Okay.
I mean, we do an extensive interview process.
Absolutely.
All right, we want to know the family dynamic. We want to know what medications or other substances people in the house are doing. Is there alcoholism? Is there domestic abuse? Are there teenagers? Is there depression? I mean, what's going on in the house? We want to know all that, because without that, why go in? Then the head of our team will go over to the house. Not only does he do the interview, he does a small investigation, little EVP work, takes some pictures.
He did the same exact thing.
And then if he gets some EVPs that sound interesting, or there's things in the interview process that warranted a full investigation, sometimes just the team goes out, I don't go. I only go out on certain cases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when they need somebody out there that's, you know, has my abilities.
In addition to working with Chris on Second Sight, I'm co-director of Paranormal NYC, and we get probably 10 to 15 calls a week. And I vet most of those calls and call up, and the ones that sound legitimate, I'll call them and interview them. And by the time I get done on the phone interview, most of the time it's not paranormal. They recognize it as not paranormal. So that of let's say 20 calls, maybe we'd get one investigation out of 20 calls. And I'm usually able to take those people and calm them down, reassure them, and take away the fear factor, and they understand what's going on. So.
Well, you do it the right way. Most other teams would take 20 calls and do 20 investigations.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I won't do that. Our team, where we live anyway, we're kind of the team other teams come to if they believe they're dealing with a negative entity or a dark entity. A lot of teams around here, they don't want to deal with them, and that's okay. So we're the ones that do. You know, we go where a lot of other teams don't want to go.
Let me ask you, Debbie, do you feel like you were called to do this?
Yes.
Okay. See, and I think that's the difference for some investigators.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of things led me to this one particular house where there was a demon. And I did everything wrong. I did everything wrong. Okay, it gave me warning signs. It gave me the chance to walk away. I can't even tell you how many times. I didn't take it. I kept on going back and poking with a stick to see how it would react. Okay, part because I was an idiot, and part because I wanted to learn everything I could about this entity so I could help people.